Hey everyone, welcome to 996 The Howl for the uninitiated. This is an unedited YouTube vlog discussing everything Arizona Coyotes and the first pretty bad loss for the Coyotes in this shortened season. Again, to the Vegas Golden Knights. They lose 5-2. Yes, their worst game of the season so far, their fourth game in. Hopefully it's a teaching moment, a learning moment. I know all the fans knew what they were watching because we've seen it so many times before in seasons past where they get deflated by a couple, undeserved goals by the opposition, and then their offense just dies on a stick and they get no speed and no offensive zone time in the opposing team's end, and the game kind of just drags along and they're just waiting for the end. Basically, that's how the season ended last season with the 2 losses to the Avalanche, but their goals were pretty much deserved. But talking about this game, the Coyotes come out hard with their fourth line. They put in John Hayden as opposed to Barrett Hayden just as a precautionary reasons for Barrett Hayden. He was banged up a little bit. He's not injured. He should be back on Friday's game. So they got John Hayden in his Coyotes debut. He's a hard hitter, pretty much all he does. Fisher kind of looked pretty good tonight, I gotta say. A lot of mojo, a lot of juice compared to every other forward out there. But yeah, the fourth line comes out hard, hitting bodies. For the first 5 minutes, Coyotes had control of the puck in the Vegas end, and then 2 just fluky throwing puck on net, undeserved goals by the Vegas Golden Knights. Granted, they're good accuracy shots, but they're from areas on the ice where the puck shouldn't go in. Kemper was probably screened on both of those, but you kind of got to make a save on those. Or if they're going to go in, the team can't get deflated so much about just 2 undeserved goals. Coyotes had the momentum for the game until those 2 goals happened, and then they kind of just stopped playing. They got a little glimpse of life when Schmaltz scored and also when Kessel scored, but amongst all those deflating moments, the Coyotes took 7 penalties, which they've been taking so many penalties early on in the season. And in a normal structured season, that happens. Even in preseason games, there'll be a lot of penalties. The first 10 games, a lot of penalties, and then once teams kind of get in their groove, there's less penalties. But in a shortened season with no preseason, you gotta work those kinks out quickly. You can't be taking so many penalties that just derail the momentum you've created against the opposition. So they got to shore up the discipline. Kyle Capobianco is back in the lineup. Also didn't like his game last night. I didn't like his game Monday night either. Just even that third goal from Mark Stone, the 3 players right behind Mark Stone on the breakaway were all forwards. You had Dvorak, Krause, and Kessel. I didn't even see Capobianco or Demers in the camera angle of that goal. So the defense kind of a bit too jumpy in this game for my liking. And also, like I mentioned with the review for Monday's game, Kyle Capobianco is way too offensively minded, and for some reason that made Demers so offensive too. Demers was pinching a lot, trying to generate offense himself when we're not really looking for Demers to be that guy. Save that for Chychrun and Goligoski where they're more comfortable for doing that. Again, Osterley and Hjalmarsson, great steady game. The penalty kill was pretty good. They allowed 1 goal on 4 attempts. The penalty kill is getting better as games go on, but the power play, they had 0 chances on the power play for the Coyotes. Not chances, 0 shots. So you go a whole game with 0 shots in your power play. I believe they had 4 power play opportunities. It was Vegas had 7 power play opportunities. So on the penalty kill, they allowed 1 goal on 7. That's pretty good. But on the power play, they had 0 shots on 4 power play opportunities. The power play generated nothing. They couldn't really even get any good zone entries. And when they did get a good zone entry, they barely passed it around and gained possession. Sure, they had a couple good scoring chances, 5-on-5 throughout the game where Fleury had to make a great save. But, it just wasn't enough. And Vegas obviously overpowered them again in the third period. And with those two undeserved goals, Vegas continued to just, chug along. And then obviously the third period, they come out alive again and put the hammer down. And that's the difference between a great, good team in Vegas and a learning team in the Coyotes, where Vegas doesn't need to play their A game to win games. They could play a B game and still get away with 2 points, whereas the Coyotes always need to play their A game, their A+ game. No mistakes, no passengers. There's a lot of passengers in the game last night. Barely heard Keller's name. Kessel got that goal, but other than that, he was pretty invisible. Garland was okay, but I'm not going to be too hard on Garland since he shows up almost every other game. I'm sure they'll have a bounce back game Friday. The players all know they kind of let everyone down. They didn't play a good hockey game. They let Kemper hung out to dry. Also, Kemper's numbers are looking pretty bad for the first 3 games of his season, so I'm sure he's upset at that. That's your starting goaltender, who's always had amazing numbers in the regular season and even the playoffs. So they got to win some games for Kemper. Ranta was just sitting that game, a healthy scratch, just due to the fact that they have to play 3 goalies, so they gave Aiden Hill the backup position on the bench, which shouldn't matter too much. Maybe Ranta goes in Friday. Actually, I'm pretty sure Ranta will go in Friday. We'll see if that changes the makeup. I really hope Jordan Gross or Victor Soderstrom plays alongside Jason Demers and Kyle. I feel like Kyle's kind of wasting his opportunity. I know he's getting thrown into one of the best teams in the NHL, but if I was him, I would just play a simplified game. He's so offensively minded that at times he looks like a forward playing defense, which the Coyotes are a very structured team, defensively sound team, and you can't have a D-man kind of going out of that system and playing their own game, because it just doesn't work, and it affects their other D partner, Jason Demers, who didn't look good either. So I want more stability on the back end, leave it to the forwards to score goals. I hope Barrett Hayden plays Friday because they need that extra offense. Drake Caggiula was promoted to the top line because of Hayden's sitting out, and he looked okay, one of his best games, just because he got a point, and that was a nice feed to Nick Schmaltz. But I would rather Lawson Krause up on that line, or just shuffle the lines a bit where you don't have Caggiula on the top line. I know Krause had a rough game, but he's more offensively gifted than Caggiula. Caggiula's obviously faster, but I think I would reward Krause for that top pairing wing position than Caggiula. But we got 2 more games against Vegas. Whoever decided to make the Coyotes face Vegas 4 games in a row, maybe put some salt in their cereal in the morning. But thankfully, it's in the beginning of the season. They kind of only faced Vegas 4 or 5 more times after this 4 games in a row. So they're getting it over with early in the season, where hopefully they don't get too derailed and their motivation and confidence doesn't get too blown away, where they could just regather themselves, pick up a point on Friday or 2, and also on Sunday, and then continue on to the next matchup, which I think is St. Louis, so another pretty good team. So Coyotes kind of they shouldn't get down on themselves. They got to regroup. No, they can't play that game. Carry that learning opportunity throughout the rest of the season. I know when they get out of their rhythm of that high offense, good ozone time game, they kind of like lose games and don't play a good game. So that's it for me. Thanks for watching, and thank you for your support.